This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Yeah. Hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Here with you over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. Sirius XM Channel 80, over 250 plus markets across the United States of America. On your check your FM AM local listings, please. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. Number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Lots of stuff to get into. First hour I spent talking about Chris Paul, CP3. How is the president of the Players Association, you simply cannot find yourself in a situation that he found himself in. I'm not accusing him of instigating anything. I don't know all the details about what happened. I know, according to my sources, Trevor Ariza came into the locker room. Chris Paul was behind him. Ultimately, James Harden came over there. And outside, 6 members of the Houston Rockets were outside trying to get into the locker room, but the door was locked and they couldn't get in. And Chris Paul knew a back entrance because of his days with the Los Angeles Clippers. And DeAndre Jordan had to stop them from coming into the locker room, and Patrick Beverley ultimately stepped into the equation. They walked in there. Trevor Ariza walked in there looking for Austin Rivers and Blake Griffin. That's what we know. My point was, you're CP3. You're the president of the NBA Players Association. You cannot find yourself in that situation. CP3 is one of the best professionals I know. Superstar, Hall of Famer, great guy, good man, great role model. This is not casting any aspersions on him, and I'm not trying to provide an excuse for any of you two. But I'm simply saying you can't find yourself in that situation, especially on the day we're honoring and celebrating the life of the greatest civil rights leader we've ever known, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You just can't do it. It's a bad look. And I also mentioned the fact that this is the Colin Kaepernick era. You got a whole bunch of folks out there because a president successfully hijacked the issue and turned attention away from where it should have been, which was oppression, racial inequality, police brutality, etc., and turned it into an issue about the flag. Clearly, there are millions upon millions of people who have sided with them. The NFL ratings themselves show that and prove that. And because of it, you can't find yourself in that situation. Because as a black athlete, let's call it what it is. You're under attack. The Colin Kaepernick era is here. Rightly or wrongly, fairly or not, it's what it is. Folks who are not black, who patronize the NFL and the NBA brand and beyond, are looking for the slightest excuse to turn their backs on a sport because of the players playing in it. You have to be careful because it's about mass appeal more than it is anything else. And if you alienate 66% of the population or beyond, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble. Financially, monetarily. If anybody's smart enough, acute enough, adroit enough, intelligent enough to know this, it is Chris Paul, a.k.a. CP3, who I assure you is one of the best professionals you'll ever meet in your life. LeBron James has it down pat. He knows what to do and what not to do. He's usually doing everything right, which is why so many people consider him a phony, because he's too good to be true, because he's the closest thing to perfection as a professional athlete as you can get. That you actually question his authenticity because of how damn close to perfect he is. Bad day for CP3. Just a bad day. I certainly don't think it will repeat itself. But we got to call it what it is. And for those out there that want to attack Austin Rivers, I'm not here giving Austin Rivers a pass. Austin Rivers ain't in CP3 class. But I don't think he's a scrub. And I don't think that he's somebody born with a silver spoon in his mouth that wouldn't be in the NBA if it was not for his daddy. There's a few teams Austin Rivers could play on. He's not a scrub. And here is one way I will absolutely positively come to the defense of Austin Rivers all day, every day. He's always been the way he is. Whether you like him or dislike him, he's consistent. Austin Rivers is not a phony. He's a lot of things. He's not a phony. He is who he is, and he's unapologetic to it. I mean, hell, it causes daddy headaches sometimes because he is the way that he is. Whatever that may be. He don't care. He's real. Give him credit for that. And he's not a scrub. And him talking on the sidelines, that's fine. He was dressed in a suit. He didn't go into anybody's locker room trying to start a fight. And thank God DeAndre Jordan was there to stop all of that stuff from escalating, according to my sources. It's not a good look. It just isn't. CP3, the only reason I'm holding him accountable is two reasons. Number one, it's clearly residue from his days with the Clippers because he didn't have the greatest relationship with Austin Rivers and Blake Griffin nor Doc Rivers in the end. And now that's come to light. The other reason I'm holding him accountable is because of his stature and his position. You are the president of the Players Association. You cannot find yourself in that position. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. The other thing I want to get into was last night and the Golden State Warriors beating the Cleveland Cavaliers 118-108. LeBron James and Kevin Durant had 32. Klay Thompson chipped in with about, I forgot how much he scored. I know Steph Curry had 23. All three of them shot better than 53% from the field. And see, this is the difference. Golden State has marksmen. They can shoot, plus they make free throws. LeBron James goes 8 for 13 for the free throw line. Kevin Durant hits all 10 of his free throws. Kevin Durant's a career 88% shooter for the free throw line. This dude's a marksman, man. Golden State plays together. They play unselfishly. They get their bench players involved. Cleveland doesn't do such things, which is why my sources tell me Tristan Thompson and others, other role players, went upstairs to talk to Cleveland Cavaliers brass about how things need to change. Isaiah Thomas still working off rust. And Kyrie Irving is missed. My God, do they miss him? They can front all they want to. They miss that brother. Kyrie's special. And he's showing it in Boston. And I'm here to tell you something right now. I'm having serious concerns as to whether or not Cleveland's going to even come out of the East. They're still my favorites, but I'm concerned. Here's the other thing you all should be concerned about, unless you like it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to ask ourselves this question. Forget Kevin Durant's coming, because I know he's coming. And I'll ask my producer this, Nuno, looking at him right now, Nuno and Kat and John. Has the Kevin Durant era officially arrived? Because I got news for you. Kevin Durant, I don't know if anybody has noticed. He's been giving it to LeBron. NBA Finals, when LeBron averaged a triple-double, Kevin Durant averaged 35. 35 and 8. On better than 53%, better than 55% shooting. Ladies and gentlemen, he's averaging over 30 every time he goes up against LeBron, and it's always better than 50% shooting. This brother is on another level. He's not playing. This is not some dude that's flowing with the rest of the team and, oh, you know what? Let me shoot this open jump shot here and there. No, he's pulling up for threes in LeBron's face. LeBron goes to the hole in the layup. Kevin Durant comes back and slams a tomahawk dunk. LeBron hits a J. Kevin Durant comes in his face, hits a three. LeBron James drops to the hole. Kevin Durant comes down. He drops to the hole. He is coming for LeBron James. Period. He's not playing. He's not playing. And somewhere along the way, Cleveland's going to have to figure out a way to do something about it, because I got news for you. The Cleveland Cavaliers squad that I'm watching does not have any answer for this Golden State Warriors team. If the Cleveland Cavaliers don't make a move before the NBA trading deadline, they are going home in 5 games if they make it back to the NBA Finals. My man Jalen Rose came on First Take today and said the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to get swept in the finals. You know what the fallout from that's going to be, right? LeBron James leaving, Isaiah Thomas not getting his money, Cleveland falling off the map in the sport of professional basketball. I mean, there's some serious collateral damage if somehow, some way they don't get their act together. 888-729-3776 is the number to call into the Stephen A. Smith Show. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app. Join and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. Back with your calls and more in a minute. By the way, I got even more to say about what's going on in Cleveland. It ain't pretty, y'all. It ain't pretty. Back with more of the Stephen A. Smith Show in a minute.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Let's get back to the phones right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Lots of stuff to get into today because here's the deal. You know, I already talked to you about some of the things that I was hearing in regards to CP3, Houston, and what happened last night in the aftermath of the Clippers win over the Houston Rockets without James Harden, by the way. He did not play last night. The other thing that's important to point to is what I'm hearing is emanating out of Cleveland. First of all, if you listen to folks close to LeBron, not only did LeBron not want Kyrie Irving traded, he said so. He told Dan Gilbert, according to my sources, he wants to go to war with the horses they have. Dan Gilbert tried to use that moment to get a 3 to 5 year commitment from LeBron James to stay in Cleveland. LeBron refused to do that. As a result, Dan Gilbert has been salty ever since. And according to some folks in Cleveland and in NBA circles, Dan Gilbert refuses to do anything else to improve the basketball team. Kobe Altman, a good man, young at his job, has been put in an untenable situation. He's in his first year as a general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers, succeeding David Griffin, who, by the way, should have never been let go. Even though he was looking for a better opportunity, it wasn't a better opportunity somewhere else. He just wanted more money. And Dan Gilbert didn't want to give him that. As a result, he let go of David Griffin damn near a week before the draft, if I remember correctly. And because of it, it put him in an untenable position of having a novice. And I don't mean that derogatorily or negatively about Kobe. I'm just saying that he's young. Because you have an owner who you're trying to appease on a championship squad that clearly needs a piece in order to capture, to conquer the Golden State Warriors. And it's nobody's trying to say that LeBron James doesn't respect Isaiah Thomas, doesn't respect Jamie Crowder, doesn't respect those guys that doesn't believe that they could play. Nobody's trying to say that. Nobody's trying to remotely imply that. What I'm saying is that everybody and their mother knows they ain't Kyrie. Isaiah Thomas off of hip surgery ain't Kyrie. Crowder ain't Kyrie. LeBron knows that. And would have preferred riding the war with the horses he had. But wasn't going to re-up. Dan Gilbert is circulating around the NBA, ticked off that LeBron James has the franchise in the palm of his hands right now. And so there's dissension. Meanwhile, you got Tyronn Lue that's got to coach this team. You got Tristan Thompson looking for minutes. You got Kevin Love that was asserted into the starting lineup and Thompson coming off the bench. You got Crowder trying to find his way, how to ingratiate himself with the offense. You got Isaiah Thomas looking for his money. You've got LeBron James undecided as to whether to stay or go. You got Dwayne Wade in the mix, which compromises the continuity that LeBron and others had with J.R. Smith. It's obviously affected J.R. Smith's play because when's the last time he's been relevant? I mean, the list just goes on and on. So it doesn't seem to be all right. Now, it's just a 4-game losing streak. It's no big deal. Cleveland will make amends. They'll correct the ship. They'll be right. But we all know they're measured against whether or not they could beat Golden State. So by virtue of that premise and trying to get things done on that level, the season appears to be a mess because it appears to be a foregone conclusion that the Cleveland Cavaliers would beat the Golden State Warriors. So much so that you've got people actually wishing for Boston to make the finals because at least there's more continuity with their franchise. This is a mess, man. It's an absolute mess. And it ain't getting much better. It's just that simple. Daryl in Virginia, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Oh, with the Cavaliers, what do you think they could do to kind of turn it around?
Get Anthony Davis, which they're not going to do. And you want me to tell you the bad part? Because if they got Anthony Davis, they'd be the favorites to win it all right? You want me to tell you the bad part about all of that, Daryl?
Yeah.
Boston might get him.
I know. Do you think maybe they should get Roy Hibbert? I mean, at one point he was a great defender. At least that could
Did you
give
just
somebody that can
did
protect
you
the
just
basket.
say Roy Hibbert? Is that what you just said?
A few years ago, he was a dominant defender.
Let me ask you a question. How big are you?
I'm 6'4".
All right. How much do you weigh?
280.
Where's the hairline on your head?
The hairline on my head?
Yeah.
It's receding.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Was it that way when Roy Hibbert was productive?
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't that a long time ago?
That was about a couple years ago when they was
a couple. That's not true. That's about 3-4 years. LeBron's been in there for 3 years.
Right.
So this was 4 years ago. Don't you think I had you? Take a moment to take a deep breath and ask yourself what was life like for you 4 years ago compared to what it is now.
Right. That was a long time ago.
Come on, bro. Come on, Darryl. Come on, man. You my brother. You better than that. You know. 4 years ago. Come on. I'm going to give you. Listen. Here's what I'm going to do, Darryl. I want you to call me back tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to put you on the line tomorrow. And I'm going to give you 24 hours to lick your wounds and rethink the error of your ways. You called into the nationally syndicated Stephen A. Smith show, and you proclaimed over the national airwaves that the answer to the Cavaliers' championship prayers was Roy Hibbert. I'm going to give you an opportunity to correct yourself on that. And make sure your boys are listening, because you know better. It was blasphemous. It was just blasphemous. Thank you for the call. Bugsy in Indiana, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, man?
Nothing much.
I was
calling to pick a beef with you that I've had for a while.
Okay, go ahead.
And that is, why in the hell do you think Chris Paul is so great?
Hold on, stop right there. I need you to step back from the mic because you sound like you're in a tunnel. So I want to make sure my audience understands you. Go ahead.
Well, he's never won anything. And as of last night, his only ever accomplishment just got ruined because he's never going to have his number retired. Which, the Clippers, do they even have any numbers retired?
Bugsy, can I ask you a question? And I love that name, by the way. I love it. I love the name Bugsy. But let me ask you this question. How'd you feel about Dominique Wilkins?
Dominique Wilkins? Well, his prime years were in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm saying, no, how did you feel about him?
He was okay.
All right. Well,
let me ask you this.
No. I'm asking the question. It's the Stephen A. Smith show. Okay. How'd you feel about Patrick Ewing?
Is Chris Paul any better than
No. I asked you a question. I need to answer my question. I'm not going to hang up on you. I'm asking you a question. How did you feel about Patrick Ewing?
Patrick Ewing was garbage. He would be
okay, that's it. All right, that's fair enough. All right, how did you feel about Karl Malone?
Karl Malone, same thing. All the
garbage
guys,
garbage.
Michael Jordan face,
garbage.
They're all old and busted.
Hold on, no. What I'm saying to you is this: these are Hall of Fame players. You know, you understand that, right? Was Reggie Miller? How'd you feel about? Hold on, you right there in Indiana. How'd you feel about Reggie Miller?
He could bang the three, but he's no Steph.
He's no Steph, but he could bang the three. You're talking about one of the greatest shooters in the history of the NBA, and because he wasn't the greatest, that don't make him anything. How you sound, Bugsy?
Chris Paul's nothing. Well, what has he ever done? He ain't never done nothing.
Can I ask you a question? Can you win a game by yourself?
That's it.
Can you win a game by yourself?
Yeah. Look at LeBron against the Pistons.
Goodbye. You sound ignorant. I tried to help you. You just finished saying you can win by yourself. You cannot. And essentially, you're going to give me the greatest ever, and you're going to say if somebody doesn't measure up to them, they're a bum. Patrick Ewing a bum? That's just flat out ignorant. Bugsy, get a chill pill. Get it together. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
This is Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. Back to the phones we go. Stephen A. Smith Show, 888-729-3776, 888-SAY-ESPN. Raul in Miami, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Stephen A., what's happening, man?
Talk to me, my brother. How are you?
Too much going on, man. Too much going on.
Tell me about it.
All right. I think, honestly, with the thing with Chris Paul and, like, most NBA players and stuff, I think what it is really, like, it's a bad divorce, you know? Like, you have your family, you have everything in that house, you know, like the Clippers, they were there for years with Chris Paul, and then all of a sudden there's bad blood, they get divorced, and then you got to go back to that house. You know, there's just bad situations, bad blood, you know? It's just doesn't work, you know?
I got you. Makes sense. Appreciate the call. Thank you. Chris in Orlando, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Stephen A? I got a quick question.
Yes.
If Kevin Durant was to win 3 rings, would you consider him on the same level as LeBron James?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Even on Golden State?
Yes. Because, again, I still think it was the weakest move I've ever seen by a superstar. But it doesn't take away from the greatness that he puts on display. Kevin Durant is a career 27-point per game scorer. Whatever he's doing now, he was doing even more of it in Oklahoma City. The only thing he didn't win the rings, that's fair. And he's not, when you look at LeBron, he's not the physical specimen that LeBron is. LeBron can't shoot like that, brother. LeBron can't shoot. Hold on. LeBron can't shoot perimeter shots. LeBron can't shoot from the free throw line like him. He can defend and he can score. LeBron defends differently, scores differently. They're two completely different players, but just as explosive.
That's true. I got an idea on how he could be bigger than LeBron, though.
Go ahead.
I'm a New York Knicks fan. I think if he was to go to a big franchise like New York, he'll be bigger than LeBron. He'll be bigger than Kobe. All he has to do is win one ring outside of another Golden State ring.
He won't be
bigger
than Kobe. He won't be bigger than Kobe. He won't be bigger. That I can promise you. He's not going to be bigger than Kobe. He's not going to be bigger than 5 rings for one of the greatest franchises in the history of sports, which is the Los Angeles Lakers. He's not going to be bigger than Kobe. But he's going to be up there. And let me tell you something. You got to remember, Kobe doesn't have 5 NBA Finals losses. LeBron, do you understand that if things go the way that they're going, LeBron James is going to have 6 Finals losses on his resume? LeBron is on the verge of being mentioned in the same sentence as Jerry West. Now, Jerry West is one of the great players. He's the silhouette, a man I have profound respect for, who I consider to be a basketball savant. And it ain't his fault that he's 1-8 in the finals. But you do remember that. And LeBron James has 3 rings, not 1, so that's good. But LeBron James is on the verge of losing his 6th NBA Finals. You realize that?
No, yeah, you're right.
Take it easy. Have a good time. Be here. In Indiana, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
What's up, Stephen? How you doing?
I'm good. Talk to me, bro.
Is our standard that low that Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer?
Well, you could say that, but look at Reggie Miller, who hasn't won a championship. Look at Chris Mullin, who hasn't won a championship. The Patrick Ewings of the world, who hasn't won a championship. The Karl Malones and John Stocktons, who haven't won championships. I mean, there are plenty of people who haven't won championships. So what happens is you look at their great individual abilities. And from an individual ability standpoint, there is no question that Chris Paul is a Hall of Fame talent as a point guard.
Man, I don't know.
I said as a talent. You understand? In other words, what I'm saying, let's say, for example, let me give you a perfect example, and I'll work with you with this, Beham, because I can understand where you're coming from, okay? I want you to listen to me and listen to me good, okay?
Okay.
Let's look at it this way. Don't you think that Aaron Rodgers is a bad man?
Bad man.
Right? Let's eradicate the 1 Super Bowl championship he had when he beat the Steelers, right?
Right.
Let's say, for the sake of argument, just for a moment, that Aaron Rodgers never won a Super Bowl title. But he plays the way that he's been playing. Would you say he's not a Hall of Famer?
I just think the standard's a little lower in the NBA. That's why I was asking.
I feel you on that, and that may very well be a legitimate point. I understand where you're coming from. But my problem, my point of contention with you is individual talent that the mind's eye can see cannot be ignored because as a team, you couldn't come together and win a championship.
Right.
And that's where CP3 comes in. You can't look at CP3 and tell me that if he was on Golden State, they couldn't win a championship. That if he was on San Antonio with Kawhi Leonard and the crew, they couldn't win a championship. If it was CP3 that was the point guard instead of Tony Parker when they beat Miami years ago, you don't think CP3 would have won a title?
Oh, it's a wrap.
You see what I'm saying? That's my point. You have to look at him and the individual skill set that he possesses and appreciate and respect it for what it is. CP3 is a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame talent.
I respect that.
All right? Appreciate the call, man. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Back with your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Protecting your small business is a big deal. Cover what you've worked so hard for. Visit progressivecommercial.com. Larry Nassar. Remember him? Remember who that guy was? I say was because he should be past tense in literal sense as well as figuratively speaking, of course. This is a guy that pleaded guilty to molesting females with his hands at his Michigan State University office, his home. I mean, my producer's all over the place moving my copy around where I can't read it. Could y'all keep the copy in one place, please? I mean, this is bad. This is a gymnast coach from Michigan State who molested several females. And on Outside the Lines today, Bob Lee was talking. Who was the report he was talking to? John Barr, who was in the courtroom listening to victims and their parents speak about the nightmares this man has caused. Listen to this.
Describe what you've seen this morning. I've been watching from a distance and I'm shaken. What's it like to be in that room?
It's been tough, to be honest with you, Bob. It's highly emotional for everybody, including the people who are covering this. We've had to sit there and listen to mothers who've talked about their daughters committing suicide. The first woman to speak today spoke about how she was abused as a 6-year-old girl in Larry Nassar's basement, molested in his basement, and who, when she later told her parents, the father didn't believe her, and when he finally did believe her, he died by suicide. The trail of human wreckage left by Larry Nassar may never be completely calculated.
Wow. But there's more. Play that next sound for us, please. Oh, we don't have it. I apologize. Listen, here's the deal. The Michigan Attorney General's office is seeking 40 to 125 years in prison for Nassar, who's 54 years old. The maximum represents a year for each of the 125 girls and women who filed reports of abuse with campus police. He's already been sentenced to 60 years in federal prison for child pornography crimes. He'll be in jail for the rest of his life. I hope they throw him on that. Man, this is a Walt Disney production. I can't even tell you what I hope happens to that man, but y'all can get the idea. Think about the kind of things that happen in some jails to men who are child molesters. Think about that. Think about that. For the rest of his life, this man will be behind bars. And it ain't too many people that deserve it more than him. Back to the phones we go before we get on out of here. Let's go to Jordan in Washington. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Jordan.
All right, a couple quick points and one question. First point, that guy was smoking something because Chris Paul is one of the last dying breeds of a quintessential point guard who actually supposed to do the point guard job. Number two, Philadelphia will lose if they play like that. Their offense plays the way they played. The defense won a game for them. But their offense played the way they played, they're not going to win on Sunday. And number 3, Martin is my favorite show, too. I have to ask you, what is your favorite character on Martin?
My favorite character on Martin?
Yes, sir.
I mean, who's the karate guy?
The one he plays. The characters he plays.
Yeah, I know that. I'm saying, who's the one that does the karate?
Talking about
hilarious.
Dragonfly
Jones.
Like
That's it. Dragonfly Jones. That's my favorite Martin character. Silence. It's on. Oh, it's hilarious. Appreciate the call, bro. Thank you so much. Mike in Denver, talk to me. You live with Stephen A. What's up, big boy?
How you doing, man? Just 2 quick things.
Yep.
Chris Paul, that's a bad look for him last night. He know better than that. Mm-hmm. Like you say, president of the Players Association, you got to get that. Make sure that don't happen no more. And Kevin Durant is coming. You and Will have been touching on it, but I've been knowing it too, and there's other people that know it. He's doing everything he want to do with LeBron out there. I'm not going to get it wrong. LeBron is, he's up there, the best player right now. But if Golden State knock him off again this year and he have another performance, I think we're going to have to move him over, Stephen A. What you think?
I think so. No, well, listen, man, the way that, LeBron better get someplace where he start winning again because they ain't beating Golden State. Not unless they get somebody like Anthony Davis. They pull off some kind of blockbuster. It ain't going to happen. I'm telling you that right now. Will Kane will talk to y'all more about that. He'll be in several markets throughout the country. He won't be in New York because my man Michael K is up next there. And, of course, John Ireland and the crew is in L.A. But Will Kane will be on in a few markets talking to y'all about Kevin Durant at the top of the hour. You don't have to worry about that. Let's go to Ron in Chicago. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Ron?
Stephen A., what's going on, man?
Talk to me, baby.
All right, listen, man. I watch the show First Take every day. I listen to your radio show, right?
Appreciate the love.
I just want to
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. I just want to let you know, man, listen, I cannot respect KD being taking over for LeBron James being the best in the world when he's on the Golden State Warriors. Now, a few seasons ago,
Whoa. Wait a minute. You can do that, and I know it's not the same, but LeBron did go to Miami. And then after he went to Miami, he came back to Cleveland to join Kyrie. You mentioning KD and you ain't mentioning that at all?
Stephen A., listen.
You got 30 seconds. Go ahead, take your time if you want to.
I got you. I'm just excited, man. I just got to do first time and listen to you all the time. But listen, KD got to prove it, man. Like, he out there with Steph, Clay, Draymond.
Hold on. Look, Ron, I'm going to rescue you because we're running out of time. But I'm going to say this to you, Ron. The reigning NBA Finals MVP who averaged 35 and 8 has to prove it? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, he got to prove it, Stephen A.
The career 27-point per game scorer has to prove it? Is that what you just said?
He's out there with a reigning MVP, Stephen A.
Time out. What did I say? Hold on, Ron. I told you before, I think it was the weakest move I've ever seen by a superstar. But that means he was a superstar before he made the move. Let's not act like this brother is a product of the Golden State Warriors. As great as they were, he still elevated them when he arrived.
They didn't need it, though, Stephen.
They did. They weren't the champions until they lost the previous year and he arrived. So that's not true. But you can call back tomorrow, Ron. I'm happy to check you. And I appreciate you listening to me from Chicago. Appreciate the love. Ain't nothing but love for you, bro. Ain't nothing but love for you. Got to sign off now, but I'll be back in 22 hours from now. Until then, this is Stephen A. signing off for the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. 22 hours from now. Peace and love.
That's just